Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our very first TSB First Friday. I'm Tally Veron, founder and publisher at the Soapbox Press, and I'll be your host for this evening. As the name suggests, our goal here is really quite straightforward. Every first Friday of the month, the Soapbox, TSB, will host an open mic where we open the floor to talented writers, artists, and musicians in our community. One day, hopefully in the very near future, we'd love to gather like this in person. But for now, we're making the most of gathering in virtual spaces, which also allows us to welcome friends from far and wide. Although we're gathering virtually, we'd like to acknowledge that the Soapbox Press rests on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We encourage you to learn the history of the land you are currently on as we reflect on the past and acknowledge the changes that can be made going forward in the process of truth and reconciliation. Today's event is doubly special. It's the first TSB First Friday, and it's also a fundraiser for a cause that's dear to our hearts. All funds raised from our Pay What You Can tickets are going towards making the brilliant chapbook Throat on Fire by Nichole Acosta, who you'll hear perform a little later this evening along with Marcus Jade, available in print, as well as cover the production costs of our upcoming open call for BIPOC writers, and will allow us to waive submission fees for this open call. If you haven't had a chance to make a donation and would like to at any point, we invite you to do so through our PayPal. It's at paypal.me/thesoapbox, and we'll drop it in the chat box as well. Just know that no donation is too small, and your support is so incredibly appreciated as it allows us to keep doing all of the work that we do. So now seems like the perfect time to share how tonight will work. We have a number of performances lined up for this evening. I'll introduce each performer before they come on stage for their 5-minute slot. We invite you to use the chat box at the bottom of the screen to share your love with the performers and connect with other attendees. Just make sure that when you send the message, it goes to all panelists and all attendees if you would like it to be public. Closed captions are available, and you can turn them on and off by clicking the closed captions button in the bar on the bottom of your screens. As this technology is new, we apologize that the captions are not perfect, but we will work with the technology that we have. We also recommend that you use Speaker View, located in the top right corner of your screen, to maximize your experience. Lastly, at the end of the event, I'd like to recreate something that we started doing at all of our in-person events. As we're all part of bustling arts and literary communities, if there's anything exciting going on in your world that you'd like to share with everyone here tonight, leave it for us in the chat at the end of the event, and we'll make sure to read them out. And with that, I'd love to turn things over to our performers. First and foremost, well, actually, before I turn things over, I should say our headliners will be performing at the very, very end of the event. So if you would like to catch them, make sure that you stick around. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome Megha Sood to our stage. Megha Sood is an assistant poetry editor at Mookie Chick, UK, and contributing member at Free Verse Revolution, Whisper and Roar, Go Dog Go Cafe.over, 450 plus works in journals, including Better Than Starbucks, WNYC, Poetry Society of New York, American Writers Review, SONKU Collective, 521, KOAN, Kissing Dynamite, etc., and works featured in 48 other print anthologies by the US, UK, Australian, and Canadian presses. She's a 2-time state level winner, NJ Poetry Contest 2018-2019 national level finalist for the Poetry Matters Prize 2019 and the Adelaide Literary Award in 2019. She also received an honorable mention in the Pangolin Poetry Prize 2019 and blogs at megasworldsite.wordpress.com and tweets at megasood16, and we'll be sure to drop everybody's social media handles in the chat. I would now like to welcome Megha Sood.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Tali and the Soapbox Press for giving me the space to share my thoughts and for the First Fridays. I'm really excited to be here. Today, I'm going to be reading my 2 poems. which is called A Condolence Call and A Nation in Chokehold. The first poem, called The Condolence Call, was written in response to a condolence call which I actually made to my friend who lost his mother during the COVID times because of a long illness, but he couldn't visit her in India because of the travel restrictions and the border closing. So, this is called A Condolence Call. Grief sits like a day old soup in my kitchen unless the anger stirs it, rattles, and boils it. Grief rises to the surface and chokes me. I hear the loss of a mother, my friend's mother, over the phone. It's a condolence call, yet I can't seem to join in his grief. Sudden loss disjoints your body. The pieces don't sit into fit anymore. Body and language are extricable. Our tongue moves in the way our body can't decipher in grief. I can't seem to form a legible sentence. Our conversation keeps coming back to the grocery, the loneliness of being stuck in a condo looking over the lush green deserted parks. I don't want to bring back the conversation of the dead and dying. The whole thread of conversation is about feeding the ones we love. Loss is pouring through the thin sluices of this city every damn day, which starts again the same way it ended yesterday. Or was it tomorrow? With sidewalks pitted with the bones of the dead. I can't seem to fathom the desperation and anger in his voice of not being able to visit his mother during her last times. The pain and the grief carry over like a failing enjambment from one meaningless conversation to another till we ran out of the small talk. The silences between the pauses take the shape of the unsaid condolence as I slowly hang up the phone. There is no defined language for grief. Lesson learned. And the second poem I'm going to be reading is called A Nation in a Chokehold. A Nation in a Chokehold. Yes, the streets are overcrowded. Yes, the lanes are bustling with protest. Yes, there are streets thrumming with anger. Overcrowded bus stops, sidewalks, bike lanes, parks brimming and spilling with pain, unfettered, uncontrolled. Everywhere now should be quarantine, where the lanes should be deserted. Everyone should be 6 feet apart, masks covered mouths but still breathing with breaths laced with privilege. Here the nation recalls the pain, the unanswered angst of those calling from the grave, for those grieving souls who are yet to put at rest, those headstones, now a placemaker for a mother, to sit and cry alone in the deep folds of the night. Here the nation mirrors the screams of the black blood lacing the sidewalks, mouth gaping at the nakedness of the whole nation, staring back at the end of a gun, a police gun. Here the nation acknowledges the police shooting went awry. Here the nation recalls how the protectors devour. Here the nation recalls how easy it's for you to forget a loss of life and wait for the next new cycle to begin. Here the nation recalls how eyes pop out, losing life in an instant when your brain misses the next wave of life giving air coursing through your veins. Here the nation recalls how the brutal hands loaded with power, thick as grief, dripping with incessant hunger, took life boisterously. Here the nation recalls how life was ignored, leaving the warm and supple body on the sidewalks pitted with fear and blood. Here the nation recalls how to survive by sucking in, gulping air, taking deep, long breaths feverishly, trying to survive after being in a chokehold for 8.5 minutes. Here the nation remembers Eric Garner. Here the nation learns again how to breathe. freely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Megha. That was very, very powerful and timely. Next, I would like to introduce Samuel Stratman. Samuel is a poet, author, educator, and founder and editor-in-chief of Floodlight Poetry. Some of his poems have appeared or are forthcoming in Whitewall Review, Acta Victoriana, the Soapbox Press's You've Gone Incognito anthology, and elsewhere. His debut chapbook, In Flocks of 3 to 5, was published by Ann Strother Press in 2020. His second chapbook, The Incubus, will be in print this fall with Roaring Junior Press.
Hello? Hello?
Samuel, start whenever you're ready.
Okay, sorry, I just came on. I didn't know that I accidentally got kicked out. So I wanted to thank Tally and the entire Soapbox Press team. I just wasn't sure that I was being announced yet or not. I'm going to start off with a poem from my chapbook In Flocks of 3 to 5, which was made by Ann Strother Press. And if you take a look at the back, there's a picture of a bird feeding another bird, so that's kind of gross. All right, so I'm going to start off with a poem from there called that I had to rename for the full-length collection I'm working on, and it's called Mare's Nest, and it's after Chris Banks's poem Lay Believers of the Metaphysical. And it has a lot to do with mental health as well as the status quo, so it might cause some issues for some people possibly. The odd one out doesn't have to worry about getting in. Papers line the streets, but if you steal some scissors and duct tape, then a pair of shoes can be made. Follow us back to the main hall. Beverages will be offered at entrance 3. Accept a drink, idle, beat on the glass, and it'll sound like the window washers are at it again, insufferably. It's warm at this banquet. Are foie gras and phyllo triangles suitable apps for an end-of-the-world party? The lights go out, but the show permeates all cortexes. We'll forget those left behind before telling stories and dancing by fire. For a brief period in time, there will be free admittance to all. The rich will put the poor in the same boat. Once power is restored, each community will have their own productions that will tell of past prophecies that fulfilled themselves. Don't worry. Each performance changes in tone drastically before collapsing on itself. The people of the world will yawn before going home, eat without brushing their teeth afterward, bite their nails during the morning commute instead of listening to an audiobook. Arrive on the job site, draw haphazardly on their tablets before making the same mistakes over again. Suicide will continue to rise in all age brackets. Workshops will continue to cater to one kind of learner. will triumph over the past while also mismanaging our education system. The weary who hard knuckle with their illnesses, face plant in the mare's nest, ignored. Now the next one I'm going to read is thank you for tagging me as well too, giving my information there, Tally. The next one I'm going to read is a poem called Immolation Song, and it is about people who set themselves on fire as part of a self-sacrifice, so that too might cause some issues for some. Immolators, cremation, snuffs the aurora, spoils the family. Endnotes reduced to scalded timber. Hubris percolating in quicksand like an effigy. Mourners' spite masked as memento. So the next two I'm going to read, they're also fairly quick, are on the lighter side of things, so no warning there. And this one is about a toad that has a particular thing for a pebble, or is it a worm? And it is called Worm and Pebble. Toad meets a worm, meets a pebble, meets a worm, meets a pebble. Takes a liking to said worm pebble. Imagine Toad, who is not a bat, fancying a pebble that's not a worm, that's a worm instead of a pebble. Picture Toad in with said worm. In that mirror, however, the worm is a pebble. Toad's head is full of pellets now. And the last one that I'm going to read is one, I lost it, but I'm going to bring it back again somehow, is called Caped Cage, and it is based on a prompt from the Rejection Letters. It's an online magazine, Rejection Letters, and it is, yes, so it's pretty much in response to Nicolas Cage auditioning as Superman and then being told, and this is sort of a response for him. And it also gives some examples to his past films as well, too. Cage ain't no cape, man, ain't no frequent flyer unless he's the Riddler with Con Air hair weaving a wicker basket. There ain't no cape, man, but Cage with a bone to pick, demons to exhume, bat boy in chains. Perhaps he's playing jokes on everyone and their mother. Poof! Radioactive bean sprouts gone arachnid, case of the jumps. There ain't no capes for Cage. Sorry for the rejection, Nicky baby. See how you run. Try a prime time network that wants to implode. Remember, I like my steaks bloody. Go get the money from the safe, honey, in the safe. Potato Head is Superman. Cage is Lex Luthor. Yeah, we'll drink to that. Harvey wallbangers all around. The ghost never left Vegas. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Samuel. That was a spectacular reading. Next, I am excited to welcome to the stage Sedo Elijah Ebine. Sedo is a Nigerian poet and storyteller. His works have appeared or are forthcoming in Lumia Review, Agbowo, I Poetry, Versification Poetry, among others. He lives with his 4 dogs in a cozy, temperamental apartment that sings lullabies when it rains. A romantic, he attempts to fuse his passion for aesthetics and culture with varying themes he considers to be much more important. You can reach him on Twitter at Letters from Sedo and on his website, sedoebine.substack.com.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for giving me this platform. So, my first is titled "In the Day of Your Death." The trigger words here would be the loss of a child because I had a relation close to me that lost someone special. Birds lined your crib, threaded lines covered your bow. Bright lights, eyes, those warm orbs dim now. An Easter wisp draws it, an avalanche of chaos lines it. It's like a mannequin lies in that box, not my brother. Trust, passionless, while a pregnant parakeet dips in that lawn. Mother leads the procession of mourners in checks and colors of pain, cutting her gaze in crisscrosses, looking for me. But an ivory canopy houses me. I wonder, where does the body go after it dies? A wooden box lies beside your own, pale, white, and haunting like the tips of grief. The parakeet alights, courageous, fiery. It waves at you. I wave at you, raven-eyed, stoic, like my infant when they brought it out of me. I wave at Mama too, as she lies in the wet grass and cries. Skidding, I dip and hit your casket. Does the soul detach from the body when it dies, or is the spirit a bird waiting to take flight to God? I'm that parakeet tweeting your emergence tunes, way high above your tomb. I just came to say goodbye. Okay, that was my first poem. The second poem I would be doing is dedicated to a special friend who lost his brother last year. His name is Chibike. So this poem goes to Chibike. Um, there's so many things I'm tired of, and one of them is you. That's the title of the poem. At the tips of your life, skidding, you fall. A machete, cutting straw, a pregnant ox, horns, papa's rusted mallets, jars of wildlife, tickles you into a wilderness of no light or air, and memories like an ancient chandelier creaks, sitting, rust cakes over this. Silence is a welcome release of stringed melodies and butterflies playing in the fields, tips to dance, free of all the things I wish I didn't know. Now I think you are the most transient of all my musings, the bone that has stayed untouched by the plow of childhood truculence. There's so many things I'm tired of, and like the lilies we danced in, like jars of honey licked dry, with our fists and tongues, I submerge myself in the nostalgia that is you. Am I tired of you, your memory that seeps out now out of your shirt, caught in a bra, outside your kitchen window, dust and fireflies take flight in your eyes, and like the sun-lit lilies, scorched like the lawns we danced in, I observe this memory of you which yesteryears, wrapped up in one so nimble, in the fields where the sun can't touch the earth, sits like a mighty oak atop the plains of our destiny. Thank you very much.
Wow, Sido, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, I'm excited to welcome to the stage Natalie Simonian. Natalie is a 22-year-old master's student from Toronto working on fatty liver disease by day. By night, Natalie writes poetry about the human experience. Natalie began writing to process how she was feeling during her undergraduate years, and she found a safe space when putting her feelings into words. Natalie writes to communicate thoughts and feelings that are deemed vulnerable. She hopes that if people read her words and if they resonate, they too will become okay with being vulnerable.
Thank you for having me here today. The first poem I'm going to read is called Unfinished. The finite aspects of life are not forgotten on me. Living every day as if you are immortal, as if every day is your last, so you must seize the day, can only be kept up for a finite amount of time. Because at some point, your mind may play tricks. Thoughts in the very crevices of your mind may surface, ones that you desperately tried to keep tucked under neatly folded bed sheets. Sometimes the finite nature of life comes in waves. When you think of emails floating through cyberspace, their destinations being the inbox of the deceased. Or the waves can crash and hit the shore, leaving foam bubbles scraping at the seashells behind. The pieces cracked, but still attached, because they were whole not long ago. The idea of invincibility was conceived by a youthful mind, because once too many years pass, the thought of living forever becomes a distant memory, too painful to be rehashed. There are those who wish to leave a legacy, an imprint on the world, for coming generations to see that everything is not fleeting, and some things can be solid, engraved in the minds of willing participants, of those who did not opt to alter their memories or their thoughts, perceptions, fiber of being. Those few who understood early that life is not meant to be lived like a fire that fizzles fast. Because as I have realized, there's a way to live in the moment without spontaneous combustibility being the only outcome. It's a function of who you surround yourself with. The mind is selectively permeable, and small charges can evade the barrier. And the second one I'll be reading is on the topic of anxiety, and it's called Don't Call a Hotline, This Isn't a Cry for Help. It's like trying to put out a house fire, but you don't know where the fire started or which rooms are burning. It's like triggering a silent alarm that only you can hear and wondering when they will figure out you set it off. It's like riding tandem bikes with an unwilling partner, making the uphills more treacherous. It's like looking over your shoulder at every passing stranger, expecting nothing less than constant danger. It's like a burglar who comes in the daylight hours and steals your happy memories, leaving behind tainted ones, so that only you notice something is missing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Incredibly relatable. I definitely could connect to what Natalie shared with us today. Now I'm very excited to call to the stage Furqan Mohammed. Furqan is a student, writer, and poet. Furqan's work focuses on culture, politics, and social justice. She's interested in themes surrounding femininity, her diaspora, East African, and big feelings around the human experience in general. Most recently, Furqan's poetry was published in Feels magazine, and Furqan is currently working on an essay for Room magazine. You can find her writing online and in print, and she's currently an undergraduate student at the University of Toronto.
Hello, thank you so much, Tali. So my first poem is titled Metaphor for Diasporic Unease. It's basically a poem about having an identity crisis. There are days where I can step in front of a mirror and see so clearly. the parts of me annotated perfectly. A head of thick brown hair, a tan body, long limbs, 10 fingers and toes. My own personal geography. Then there are days where I cannot seem to see myself. Where do I start? Where do I begin? My mother says I am like smoke just coming out of a chimney, cursed to search for something to give me shape. My father insists that I am not smoke, but instead the wood that burns inside the fireplace. Perhaps I am like the vines that creep up the side of the house, content with nooks and crannies and crevices, but cursed to always be looking for somewhere else to go. I cannot seem to see myself. On the days my head feels thick like smoke, on the days my body feels like it's a fire, on the days my limbs feel like the vines, I realize my mind is playing tricks on me, and for the moment that is fine. I am everything and nothing and some things, and for the moment that is fine. So my second poem is titled Inheritance. It's about womanhood. This poem will be published in Re Magazine's second issue, which is coming out later this month, so be on the lookout for that. The renewal of old lessons put to new bodies is slowly killing us. Disguised in the cover of their everyday lives, I wonder how many walk this earth with a passed down, twisted estate. What happens in our life writes a story in our flesh, but some of us are granted stories before our bodies can grow, before time can move. We drill holes in our throats for the words we do not know, speak in tongues that are not our own, settle for seconds on a plate never intended for our stomach, stretch out our lips into big smiles, baring teeth that we are taught will ward off evil. I tell myself that I will be different, that I would rather go hungry. I would rather starve than eat empty lies and break bread with men who would break my neck if given the chance. In an alley, on the subway, in my home. You ask me to write eulogies for daughters who are still living. When the coroner asks what killed her, perhaps you will say a miniskirt or that she said no. We die many deaths, but we come alive to the same reality. I refuse to become you. She refuses to become you. This tradition will die with me, with us. We will take it from here, carrying the torch of womanhood. But unlike you, we will not burn ourselves. Thank you.
I just have chills up and down my arms. I imagine that many of us are feeling the same way. Thank you so much, Furkan. Next, I'd like to welcome Lauren Suhansky. Lauren has a difficult relationship with punctuation and currently lives in Yardley, PA. She has been nominated twice for the Pushcart Prize, 3 times for the Best of the Net, and her chapbook, Full of Ears and Eyes Am I, is available from Finishing Line Press. You can find more of her writing on Instagram at Lauren_Suhansky or on Twitter at Lauren Suhansky.
My first poem is about the fires that are happening in California, particularly an article that I came across talking about how a lot of the redwoods had survived. It's called Semi-Permafrost. The redwoods awake, laughing at us. Some ancient gossip passes through the roots, all the way to the superbugs asleep in the permafrost. We wait, pulling ourselves to bits while the trunks of trees that have stretched wide for millennia sing their own laughter songs to one another. Reckless species, reckless sons and daughters that have let the Amazon burn, that have let Australia burn, that have let the poles slink back, tucking their white socks into their shoes. Still prepossessed with the self-obsessed with the richness of time and space, that bends between the contours around the liminal trace of our skin, the shape of our bones reaching out of our cheeks, the way our skulls will look as they swelter in the coming heat, the way they will peel away from our foundation, our blush, as the mascara squeals its way off of our lashes, and the heat holds the ancient stories once buried in ice, now carried on the wind, the permafrost now only semi-permafrost, and us only semi-permanent as well. And the redwoods still laugh, careen towards the endless wisdom of being rooted deeper than the wind can shake. And my second poem is about this historic old courthouse that I came from recently. It just made me think about justice and things like that. Hollowed out firmament of justice, bricks painted white, stacked by hands whose ash now billows about the roots of these structures that never deteriorate. The perfect lilies placed around a statue of Queen Anne, the endless monarchy and oligarchy of something we come to pray to, the precipice of judgment whose hand sits in gavels long since hammered away, hammering away sentences, not paragraphs, just sound bites, not full context, just pieces of lives lost, and laws held and upheld, a handful of marbles jangling, with all the light that passes through them, and all the air that sits at the edge of the spherical shape. The way we hold on to history like a sack full of old coins that no longer hold any value. But the sound of the jangle pleases our ear so. The clink of old metal and salvaged chunks of wrought iron that once brought the iron fist to some wishless land. The wish list landed on this lapping shoreland, this Plymouth Rock-edged cliff. The sound of the jangle observes us observing it and continues to sing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That was beautiful. Next, I would like to welcome Riz Vibros. Riz is a 2020 undergraduate from the University of Toronto. She writes poetry and fiction, both short stories and novels, and has a special affinity for the fantasy genre and the world of the imagination. She also loves to sing and is using the lockdown to learn to play guitar.
Hi, everyone. I'm Riz. Thank you for being here, and thank you to Tally and the Soapbox for having me tonight. The first piece I'm going to be reading is from my fourth collection, Let There Be Light. This collection explores light in all its forms and definitions as metaphors for the pursuit of happiness, but this piece is kind of on the opposite spectrum in that while it still explores the pursuit of happiness, it uses darkness to do so instead. It's called What If the World Went Dark? What if the world went dark? If the headlights on the highway whizzing by, the lights hanging from the eaves of the building, the lights shining through the windows, all faded to black, and you could see nothing but dark, not even the silhouettes of trees and structures and hills in the night. What if you could sit in the middle of the highway without fearing that something would hit you? Is that freedom? Is that freedom? If the world went dark, what would it sound like? Would the ringing in our ears cease, or would the silence be even more deafening than the sound of power running through the wires hidden inside the walls that trap us? Could we better hear our own footsteps, our own thoughts, our own desires? Could we better speak them to be better heard by others? Is that freedom? What if the world went dark and we suddenly could not see where we were going, so we dropped our bags and briefcases and simply began to walk? Maybe toward the place to which we were headed before the world went dark, or maybe away from it. Who knows? Who cares? We just walked. Is that freedom? And what if we kept walking and walking and walking until we finally reached the place where the sun rose on the horizon over land on which we discovered we were meant to be? Is that freedom? So the second piece was actually a request from a woman named Chelsea who suggested I write about the state that the world is in. So I sat down to reflect on how the COVID lockdown has affected me personally, as well as some of the people in my life around me. And the result is this piece, which is called Indefinitely. This isn't what I meant when I said I wanted to go home. This isn't what I meant when I said there was too much talking, too much grouping, and I wanted to withdraw just for a little while. Please, just a little while, I promise, and then I'll come right back. This isn't what I meant when I said I wanted my studies to just be over. This isn't what I meant when I fell asleep praying for the earth to heal. I didn't mean force all my things into boxes almost 2 months early and drive away from the city I lived in, never again to call it home. I didn't mean leave my friends behind without even so much as a goodbye or a thank you for the 4 years of growth that they had given me. I didn't mean take away the music in my blue and purple, 90 Wellesley, room 127. I didn't mean tear families apart, one on one continent and the other on another. I didn't mean cancel my convocation, years of hard work with nothing to show for it. I didn't mean, even though dolphins are swimming and the air and waters are clearing, to keep everyone inside or else people would die. I didn't mean everyone should fear for their grandparents, everyone couldn't see their sisters and their cousins, everyone couldn't kiss their other halves, for everyone must worry about their family trapped abroad, for everyone to either be too afraid or not afraid at all. I didn't mean to do so many things for the last time without knowing it was the last time. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and thank you again to the Soapbox for having me.
Oh, that last piece hit really hard. Thank you, Riz. Next, I would like to welcome Prophet. Prophet is the leader of ESPE, where all art thrives.
Is it up? Did it come up? There we go. Hello, everybody. I am YP the Prophet, leader of ESPE, where all art thrives, and that is just the independent coalition of artists in which we do several different things. We make sure that we own all rights to anything that we create. In addition to that, we also put the business behind it in terms of publishing, distribution. I am a poet, a writer, and I do music as well. So actually, what I'm going to do for you today is, and I rap and harmonize. I don't really sing, but so what I'll do it in the era that we're currently in, we need to smile more, right? We need to put positivity back into this world. So what I'm actually going to do is just pretty much spit some bars for you and create a vibe. Smile, give a reason now. Hey, can you see you smile? Go. Look, smile, give a reason now. Hey, can I see you smile? Go. Look. Keep rocking till the wheels fall off. You know the vibe too strong. What goes around, cause around we gon'. Keep rocking till the wheels fall off. So smile. Look. Problematic profit kicking this conscious construction. The monster, I'm constant. A peace God on who God that ain't you. Well, put that on others too. I be waste of the capital, prophecies be capital, causing damage collateral, connect them all lateral, wait, lyric pulsating spirits, they hating but battle with it, it's rhythmic, I'm so sick, highly contagious, vomit on the beat, lay my head to sleep, I'll break when the sun peaks, say word, can't knock the hustle, graduated from the school of hard knocks, no books, just rocks and crooked cops, summa cum laude, your prophet's prophet, a prophet, I'm profit, so the topic, fatter than prophets, grammatical glitch, spit and arithmetic, they Alzheimer's. So I'll remind you, hey yo, but who am I say? Smile, give a reason now. Hey, can I see you smile? Go. Smile, give a reason now. Hey, can I see you smile? Go. Look, keep rocking till the wheels fall off. You know the vibe too strong. What goes around, cause around we gon'. Keep rocking till the wheels fall off. So smile, look, look. Ghana YP, so check your numbers. Destinies manifest, suppressed days of being oppressed, chosen, fate written in Hebrew. Holocaust, nothing new. Yo, no new evil. Through the deserts I walk, deserted preconceived thoughts. Live life by the hands of the voodoo. Slaughtered the queen, built the monument of life. Never before seen, never knew what it meant to dream. Only to awake and scream. Young guys and all they seen. Infiltrated, battled, initiate survival. Nation remain, flag seen, peace found. Bodies cover ground, mountain peak, looking down, latitude reach, attitude teach, out the way, message conveyed, verbal assassin, kick killer, resemblance to Kennedy's killer, sworn and inaugurated, preserved knowledge one, forced to be reckoned with, my air, never wrecked to expect, but can we smile, give a reason now, I want to see you smile, go, smile, give a reason now, hey, can I see you smile, go, look, keep rocking till the wheels fall off. You know the vibe too strong. What goes around comes around. We gon' keep rocking till the wheels fall off. So smile. And that's just a piece, you know, to put positivity back into the world. You know, maybe if we smile more, we'll get through this a lot better, right? I'm not sure. I think I can run something else. Can I tell you a story real quick? I'll tell you a story. And I'm gonna just drop some bars real quick. Overcoming these odds, they stacked against me 92. When I came through, cracks and boom, possibly consumed in the womb. Possibly consumed in the be right back. Overcoming these odds, they stacked against me 92. When I came through, cracks and boom, possibly consumed in the womb. I'm living in poverty, hardest streets of DC. Can see to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Don't you see the system they set for me? I must have had an angel, got it from the right angles. I'm never obtuse, life's been acute. I'm unchained like the Django, my name. I let these words slang. Woo! Setting the shot, step with the rap, just staring the pot into the last beat. Let it drop, speaking of the hot. Just young and gifted, far from prime, but deliver on time. Teachings of the Amazonian. Mama's Wonder Woman, always wonder how'd you do it. Woman, 3 babies. Daddy's late. Rolling mama's baby, your daddy's maybe. Oh man, it's crazy, it amazed me. Living in the Macy, no pops at home, young bull left to grow on his own. Gotta take care of home, became a runner of the maze, found a well the better days. But either way, I'ma live. All right, that's my time, y'all. I definitely appreciate you and this platform as well. Looking forward to seeing some other dope artists. I am YP the Prophet. Please follow me on all social media. YP TheProphet. YP the Prophet.
Thank you so much. I was like dancing over here. Smile is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the night. Thank you so, so much. Next, I would like to welcome Marcus Medford to the stage. Inspired by the writing of Dr. Seuss and Robert Munsch, Marcus Roy Medford has known he's wanted to be an author since he was 5 years old. In 2016, he accomplished that goal by publishing his debut collection of poetry, Book of Mars. Marcus currently works as a freelance writer and editor, as well as a sports instructor. Marcus is a list maker, picture taker, podcaster, and overthinker.
Hello, Tali. Thank you so much for that intro. And hello to everyone who's performed. I've really enjoyed all the performances and I'm excited to see the rest. As Tali said, my name is Marcus. My stage name is Mars the Poet, and I will be doing 3 pieces for you. The first piece is called Lily, John, and Lucy, which is 3 sonnets. It's a crown of sonnets loosely. John. A man must be gentle but strong to raise a daughter. I will do so long as I am your father. I want to help you grow, but what can I do that your mother can't? There's so much I don't know. Help me to understand. How can I give you protection but let you find your own strength? You need space and affection, so I'll go to any length. Just know that I love you and that you are precious, beautiful daughter whom I have been blessed with. Lucy. Baby girl, the world is yours. You can achieve all accomplishments. You are smart, beautiful, and competent. Of that, I am sure. Do not drown when they pour on you adoration. You see for. You may never plan to raise a daughter. you might not want a baby. Just understand there's many ways to prosper, so be your own lady. Lily. Mother and father, give me direction. To be a mountain but free as water, help me grow as I go farther through the trials of adolescence, through even the toughest questions. Is it a bother to raise a daughter? Did I waste your affection? Does love make you strong or weak? Could it be both? Maybe. True to myself, I will keep and live my life bravely. I know that the world is my oyster. I just want to be happy and be sure. Lily, John, and Lucy. The next poem that I'm going to do is a poem that I initially put together during Poetry Month this past month, during what I call the peak of the pandemic. And so this poem is called COVID. Searching for the key to social cohesion, enamel, an antidote. Stripped of his loves and titles, lonely, with no company but his reflection. He awoke in the middle of a highway. He stood as still as the world spun. What choice do I have but to redeploy my heart when normalcy has been destroyed? Oxygen tastes foreign. Refuge is just an illusion, a rainbow soaring through the sky. Pursuit is futile. Memories clamor in the window. Time escapes through my bedroom. Don't look. Fix your face. I'm restless, broiling beneath the surface. How can I be dormant but on the precipice of eruption? But if you ask me how I am, I'll say I'm fine. What is the meaning of these normative claims? I'm seething with guilt and shame. No one is ever prepared for the earth beneath their feet to give way. But when that day sneaks up behind me, I'll pray. I just wish I was a magician. I could pull time from a hat, and I would know, when will this end? The next piece that I'm going to do is a piece called Breaking News, which I wrote a very long time ago, but is always very relevant, sadly. Breaking news. What baby name did Will and Kate select? Did Tom Brady pay off the refs? We have traffic and weather coming up next. And in other news, another brother was shot to death. We have scenes from insert name of American city here, where the streets have erupted with riots and unrest. The chief of police released a statement last week saying he didn't mean to shoot the nigga 6 times in the chest. So don't you dare tell me I'm overreacting if it's not something you have to worry could happen. For fuck's sakes, I feel like a woolly-haired Negro just trying to survive this white man's world. But how can I reassure little black boys and little black girls when I can't even get on a bloody metro? You act like being black is something I should be grateful you stand. Fuck you, man. I never asked to be brought to this land. And boo-hoo that you can't say or do anything that you choose, but don't be confused. There isn't anything special about you. So to hell with your backwards views and your impartial news. I hope you choke on your hate speech. This is Marcus Medford, breaking the news. Thank you so much. You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Mars the Poet. I'm not really on Twitter, so Instagram is probably your best bet. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Next, I would like to introduce Alexandra. Flying from Cambodia to Thailand, words started pouring out of Alexandra. She wrote for hours, recounting the details of her adventures. She felt safe and at home in the midst of her writing, returning to this home every day since. Confessions of a Lady represents a woman's personal journey through love and healing. She embarked on her mission to share, inspire, and bring comfort to others in 2019. Through countless late nights spent alone with her journal, she could feel herself beginning to heal. From the grief she experienced earlier that year, through to the deterioration and eventual end of a long-term relationship. Writing gave her the wings she needed to carry herself through these challenges. Poetry brought her comfort in a way nothing else could. Today, she is well on her way towards solace, having found a love that is both kind and loving. Her name is Alexandra, and she is the woman behind Confessions of a Lady.
Hi, everyone. So today I'm going to be reading some of the poetry that I actually wrote on my travels to Cambodia and Thailand, and then I'll end off with a few poems about love. I'm not really going to be giving any context on my poetry. I'll just be guiding from one to the next with a small pause in between. There is a bird, now two, chasing each other in the sky. Oh my, what a sight, what beauty young love sounds like. A force to be reckoned with, a force to crave. Wildlife is mystifying, with no creatures in sight. I can hear them all, birds, crickets, and snakes. I wish I knew how to fully appreciate all that nature has to offer. Each new ecosystem I encounter reminds me of this limited line of sight. I feel small yet strong, incapable of surrendering to the wild, a part of me at peace in the loneliness, a part of me set free. Upside down, the flower lays, behaving as though it has rained. The heat exhausting all that remains, the only temperament this place has faced. A climate few could have survived, yet here the flower prevails in the place where it never rains. Pure relaxation of every kind, of the soul, body, and mind. Undisturbed, at last in peace, a feeling all too fleeting, yet undeniably real. How rare it is to feel all this good, nourishing. I've earned this more than I grant myself permission. This is wonderful, a true gift. The sun is gone, the sky is near. The sights are bright and shining clear. As I travel through the streets, I wonder how I am really here. The road is frantic, but I am centered as air rushes through me. I am shaken, but unwavering, that to be here is courageous. I trust in him, I trust in us, that we have not mistaken our path for a vacation. The rhythm is undeniable as it beats in my chest. I feel its power, anger, strength, raging in my depths. Inconceivable a night like this, where music fills every void, and I forget that I am torn. He is here, and the string should help. I think, though I don't know why. It's okay, he is here, and I feel safe. What is difficult to express will often possess a special place in your heart. These roots in you need water to flow through if you wish to let them grow. There is a fear I've seen between these sheets of unfulfilled dreams to which I want to speak. Walk down the street, really look at everyone I meet. There's love and kindness to be shared here before the night falls and the day reappears. I look into your eyes, searching. Your gaze reassures me I am enough. We deserve everything love is. We were never too much. When I look in your eyes, I don't want to look away. I forget time and the place, whether it's sunny or it rains. And if there are clouds in the sky, I pay them no mind. Your touch has become my favorite sight. I'll stare at the city skyline, glance up at floating clouds, breathe in this breeze as it whistles through the trees, admire all of the elements, only to remember you. I often stop to think how this is all possible. Even now in the midst, you were always so sure of me. Thank you for giving me your time and trust. It feels as though you take great care with love. You look to me and ask, what do you want? No man before you has shown me this, without the expectation of a destination to fuel his own afflictions. We'll sit and talk for hours on fears and predispositions, until our eyes sparkle from love's ammunition, and we are too tired in the early morning to continue this conversation. We embrace and retrace the clarity we've gained, seeing kindness and acceptance across the other's face. And that's all for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. That was beautiful. So up next, we actually have a little bit of a switcheroo, if you will. I've never used that word. Anyways, okay, so Zara Tutansab was supposed to read this evening, but she is actually on a plane and she was going to join us through Wi-Fi, but of course the Wi-Fi wasn't working, and so in her place is her brother Mohammed. But I will still read Zara's bio, and then we will hear from Mohammed. Zara's poetry is fragmented and broken like her mama's English. As a kid, she wrote poems to help her cope with new places, faces, and emotions while traveling back and forth between Tehran and Toronto. She was born in Toronto and grew up in the Greater Toronto Area, specifically in Scarborough, Ontario. She recently graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Life Sciences at the University of Toronto in 2019 and double majored in English and biology. She is currently pursuing a Master of Arts degree in the English and Film Studies program at the University of Alberta. In March 2019, Zara published her first poetry chapbook titled The Aftertaste.
Hello. Hi. So yeah, I'm Mohammed, Zara's brother, here reading on her behalf from her book, The Aftertaste. First poem I'm going to read is Pomegranate Dyes and Copyright. I sit on pomegranate dyes woven by women at a loom. My feet crumble, as if an hourglass has tripped over to create soil for the woven roses. I play the centaur of pomegranate dyes and dancing roses. I play on the echoing strings, echoing underneath my skin, and soaking the part that used to be my feet and is now soil, roots, and roses. I am a Persian woman who could fly on pomegranate dyes and woven roses with centaur pulse and soil feet. I am a woman who could make flying carpet for the woman weaving at a loom for a culture with centaur pulse and pomegranate dyes, and for you to copy, right? So that's her first poem, Pomegranate Dyes and Copyright, from the book The Aftertaste. I'll read one more. This poem is titled He Said. He said, love, true love, to be love, this is love, let me love. She said, water, blood, tape, ribs. He said, kids, beautiful kids. I said, slow, 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 slow. No, he said, I promise. It's a promise, a man's promise. I said, you promised. Where is the promise? He said, I love you, like my love for God. I said, you bastard. Fuck you. You are an atheist. You have always been an atheist. And that was the poem He Said. This is from Zara, yeah. So thank you guys.
Mohammed, wait, before you go, I believe you're a poet as well, so please share with everyone where we can all find you, because you're very talented in your own.
Thank you. Yeah, I also do some poetry, some spoken word. You can find me on Instagram, mt-mt. Also Facebook, just my name, Mohammed Tutansab. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Mohammed. Drop that in the chat to make sure everyone.
Will do. Thank you.
And now we get to welcome our headliners to the stage. So in a few short moments, we are going to bring Nichole Acosta and Marcus Jade up. So I'm going to introduce them both. Nichole Acosta is a Brooklyn-based poet, performer, and carb counter. Her work has been featured in the America's Poetry Festival of New York, Diabetics Doing Things, and This Is Not What I Ordered podcast series, and Connect, Politics, Ditto, and Light Anthology. She enjoys bridging the gap between stage and stage, identity and perception. Marcus Jade is a blues musician, songwriter, and poet, born into Indianapolis's eclectic DIY art and music scene. His music is the medicine for the wandering mind, redemption songs for our mothers.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes.
Awesome. Marcus, you want to check the guitar?
Yeah, sure.
30-second sound check.
Just gotta do a small little sound check, just real smooth.
Thank you all for sticking around to the end and for anyone who gave donations. I've been working on this book for about 5 years, a little more, so I'm pretty excited that the whole Soapbox team got to it and putting it out into the world. I'm gonna jump into it. When you wake up with your throat on fire, maybe this your body's telling you your mouth is an overcrowded waiting room. Now is not the time to hold your tongue. This next one is called Soundtrack of Crown Heights. Marcus and I met at an open mic in this virtual world, so I'm pretty honored to have him. We both know a little about the Crown Heights neighborhood in Brooklyn. Maybe you could turn it up a little more. Are you guys hearing the guitar? Not hearing the guitar. Got it?
I'm sorry, I'm going to intervene briefly and just read the feedback. There's some background there's some constant white noise in the background, and the guitar is a little bit.
I'm gonna turn that on. Is that better? Sorry about that. How about the guitar?
colors are clearly fine on mine.
You want to jump into sunshine? Want to jump into sunshine?
Okay. Do it again.
Yeah, try it. I hear that better. Maybe if you stand near the mic.
Let's see.
Yeah, there we go. The soundtrack of Crown Heights. I lived by a fire heist in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. The engines wailed down the block 5 times a day and night, with the fire chief pinballing through oncoming traffic behind them. The wails, staccato, legato, remixed with ice cream truck theme song on loop, Jewish Orthodox prayers in sync with Baptist hymns, birds interpreting the skies to one another in the early morning daylight, human beings begging for something more than change. Bass booming car music at full blast. Right on my block, squawks and gunshots. There is a school for the deaf here. I wonder what it's like to feel the rhythm without the noise. This next one is called History Lesson. For years, I believed there were all these Europeans fighting wars and drinking teas, enslaving people and discovering things. And then some sort of big bang happened where all the people of color just dropped out of the sky or something because we never had a backstory, just a bunch of heavy textbooks with non-inclusive timelines, so we wrote ourselves into the margins. Public school forced me to remember a history that wasn't mine, formulas that were unfamiliar, answers that shared no ancestry with me. So when people say things like, "You don't know who that is? Shame on you. What school did you go to?" And it's another white male who did something significant in history that I've forgotten, I search for a face that I know and say the same. "You don't know who that is? Shame on you. What school did you go to?" And it's another person of color who did something significant in history that you never learned about. It is clear that we need to listen more to each other's stories if we ever want to understand the bigger picture. People of color were here the whole damn time. We are here now. We will be here always. Remember that. I'm gonna read one more from Throat on Fire and then 2 new pieces that I wrote today. on being too sensitive. It's funny how onward is one word and we keep trying to move past the past, but it grips us. Bumper two, bumper car, we snap back to reality. That's just the snapple cap facts of life. Suck it up, kid, don't sweat the small stuff. How many beads of sweat does it take to birth an ocean? How many ships have you slipped into a bottle to bury your baggage by the boatload? How good are you at growing gills? You've never been too sensitive. You've just perspired too many times to tally, and now you're a Grand Canyon, a scarred landscape. So grandiose, no one notices when you break anymore. No one notices when you break. No one notices that you are broken and you were born whole. Jumping into the new stuff. I was recently in Florida with my nieces and nephews, and my sister-in-law was always singing "You Are My Sunshine" to my little baby nephew, and I thought about that. I wrote about it.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
The chorus is every Black mother's anthem, pressed firmly into the lining of their children's ear canals. It is a prayer to the world not to extinguish a light so bright and powerful. It is a reminder to child to keep shining, to keep rising, to keep setting their place at the table, even while sundown towns still exist.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
And for this final poem, my wife and I have been paused with the whole pandemic in starting the whole pregnancy ourselves and living in a tiny apartment in New York City. We've been thinking about where are we going to put this baby? You know, where's it going to go? So I had a lot of dreams and wrote about them. The mini crib. I dreamt I threw the clothes on the floor in a hurry, lined the lowest dresser drawer with soft things, and placed you into it. Made a pileup of pillows and towels in case you tossed in your sleep your first night in the new nest outside of me. I opened the couch with an axe and collected all the cushioning, unraveled the bubble wrap at the back of the closet, and set you down on a giant teddy bear in an oversized Amazon box. I dusted off the luggage, a relic of international travel before Corona, added pillows and the softest blankie, and kept the luggage all the way unzipped. I turned over a table, patted. I dusted off the luggage, a relic of international travel before Corona, added pillows and the softest blankie, and kept the luggage all the way unzipped. I turned over a table, patted it with worn-out bras, and ran around the legs with packing tape so you wouldn't roll into the kitchen and wake up beside the dishwasher that swished you to sleep. I bought a pumpkin, hollowed it out halfway, covering your tummy and legs in the pulp, hoping it felt familiar. I would carve anything into a crib if I knew it could keep you safe. Thank you all so much.
You have to just give me a minute. Let me see. Oh dear. Yeah. Restart it on my thing. Okay. Alright, sweet.
Okay, I just muted.
Thank you so much to Nichole and Marcus. That was a beautiful way to end our evening. It isn't often that we get to pair poetry with music, and it was such a treat to conclude our evening this way. And of course, what is a Zoom event without technical difficulties? So of course we had our fair share this evening. Thank you to everyone who stuck around till the very end and who joined us tonight. So again, thank you all so much for being here. I can't believe our first TSB First Friday has come to a close. Can we just get a moment of virtual applause for all of our brilliant performers? I'm clapping, but I hope all of you are clapping at home too. If you'd like to perform at our next open mic, look out for the sign up link in the next few weeks, as our next TSB First Friday will be right here on Friday, October 2nd. But tonight, again, let's really appreciate all of the beautiful, beautiful performances that we had the pleasure to watch this evening. If you'd like to stay in touch with the Soapbox, then please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Soapbox Press and The Soapbox Official. We also have a newsletter that you're welcome to join. And of course, you're free to opt out at any time, but we hope you'll stick around to see all that we have going on. A new addition to the Soapbox is Plume, where we continue our mission of supporting writers in all stages of their journey by providing editorial, design, and self-publishing services. If this is something you're looking for, then check us out at www.plumepress.com. Lastly, we also now have started featuring writers on our blog. So if you write and want a place to showcase your work, send us an email at contact@thesoapboxwrites.com with your bio, your social media handles, and the piece you'd like us to feature. And now that we're at 7:26, that brings us to the end of our event. Thank you so much to everyone again for sharing your words with us, to our wonderful audience for being so lovely in the chat and being so kind and supportive. And I wish you all a wonderful evening and hope to see you again very, very soon.